When the ruling National Resistance Movement held its primaries for parliamentary flag bearers on 17 July, there was a high attrition rate for incumbents, and there is no guarantee that those who triumphed will emerge victorious when they face opponents from other political parties and the primary losers coming as independents. The incumbent opposition MPs are facing similar fate as their NRM counterparts. Never mind that the National Unity Platform flag bearers are selected by a select committee in a process whose outcome is yet to be made public. The Democratic Party hurried to shield the incumbent MPs from competition within the party.
We gave a waiver to all our sitting members of parliament. There will be no primaries in those constituencies. There will only be primaries if they don't seek for re-election.
The high attrition rate has become a norm, and it keeps widening in each election cycle, something that has opened up room to rethink the power of incumbency in an election. Pundits say incumbency is a double-edged sword that allows building a name and financial muscle, yet it is also subject to a high level of scrutiny as compared to those seeking to unseat them.
At lower levels, when you are the incumbent, there are quite a number of challenges that come, because you will be answering questions from the electorate. Hey, man, we gave you 5 years. What have you done? You have to explain to them. And yet the new person will come and say, you have not tried me. Try me. Look at the incumbent. He has not done this. He has not done this. He has not done this. Now the incumbent comes up to explain why he has not done what the opponent is alleging.
The vulnerabilities of the incumbents are aggravated by the misconceived high level of expectations and responsibilities of those occupying the political positions. Opio argues that in some cases, where incumbents have retained the NRM flag, it was through the use and manipulation of the state machinery.
In Ipalisa district, all the incumbent MPs were toppled down, including the LC5 chairman was toppled down, except one MP. And if you also examine the way he maneuvered, he will definitely target to security influence.
However, the constant is at the top level, where President Museveni is seeking to extend his hold on to power for 40 years after picking nomination forms this week to contest for a 7th term. Since the 1996 presidential elections, undue influence of the incumbency has remained a point of concern in the elections, and without term limits nor age limit, Museveni has free reign. Not just in Uganda, in neighboring Kenya, each of the two presidents who held power following the negotiated exit of Daniel Arap Moi in 2002 went on to serve for the maximum of the constitutionally stipulated 2 terms. The trend is similar in Tanzania and Rwanda. How is it that the story is different for the heads of state who face an enormous level of scrutiny compared to those in the lower political offices? Governance experts say the amount of power wielded by President Museveni, giving him an influence that is over and above his political opponents, stems from the constitution, which leaves no room for a vacuum to exist during the transition period from one president to another.
Whether the incumbent has won and is sworn in, or what, the incumbent still has to hold the country together, because what is at stake is national security, is that statehood has to remain. So because of that, the framers of our constitution and actually elsewhere, even the president in the US, because we have to use examples of consolidated democracies, the president still has the advantage over other presidential candidates, because the facilities, the resources attached to his, her office would ordinarily remain accessible to that person, because beyond running as a presidential candidate, is in charge of running the security and the functioning of the state.
Talking about the US, although Donald Trump bounced back to the presidency following the November 2024 elections, his first term was interrupted after he was defeated by Joe Biden during the 2020 elections. In Africa, in Ghana, Mauritius, Botswana, Senegal, the incumbents or their dominant parties lost power in 2024. In Uganda, political players concur that President Museveni maximally exploits the thin line between what he should and shouldn't do during the election period. There is also a thin red line between the NRM party and the government. Towards the 2016 elections, The president stoked controversy by pledging 18 million horse to farmers across the country, which irked opposition players who termed it as political bribery to voters. This was part of the contentions in the Amama Mbabazi versus Yoweri Museveni 2016 presidential petition. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of this particular issue and recommended an amendment to Section 69 of the Presidential Elections Act, which provided that the president could, in his ordinary duties, give donations during the campaign period. Justices of the Supreme Court ordered for amendment of the section of the law to prohibit the giving of donations by all candidates, including a president who is also a candidate, arguing that it should create a level playing field for all. The government repealed the section of the Presidential Elections Act that provided for donations by the president during the campaign period in 2020.
It's clear that a person who is serving in a government role must not use their office for their campaign, for their political campaign. But in 2020, at the height of campaigns, President Museveni was going around launching markets, doing what, giving out money and all that under the pretext of doing government programs, when actually he was bribing voters.
Despite the repeal, political players contend that President Museveni exploited the law by campaigning early and before the start of the designated official campaign period. They point fingers at the countrywide tours conducted by the president ahead of the election period, with the latest being the monitoring of the parish development model program. He undertook similar tours in 2021 and 2016, which were pegged on monitoring the performance of the Operation Wealth Creation program.
As a fountain of honor, today we are asking the president to come and start doing accountability and trying to show us parish model. You know, it's a lot of induced pressure. He has an advantage because he controls, he works as president, he does a bit of those. But I say it's not him. It's about the constitution. The constitution places him in the same position.
It will be noted that the activities by the president are well within the confines of the law, except that the opposition political parties seldom have the opportunity to conduct countrywide mobilization tours.
These, which are supposed to be government programs, you see how they have been turned into NRM activities. Because if you say that PDM is a national activity, how come everybody who is attending those events is given a yellow t-shirt? How come everywhere he goes to launch or to monitor PDM activities, they have to put his pictures and for endorsements and all that?
Despite the fears of the opposition players that the activities constitute early campaigns, Rubongoya argues that it will yield little in his favor.
I cannot say that it has put him ahead of us. You'll see when we start our campaigns, because we are the ones who have a real message. He knows that he has lost legitimacy. That is why he has been moving around, actually bribing people, bribing voters. You know, I saw him the other day justifying the use of khaki envelopes and all that, but he's trying to bribe the voters. That is why this...
The bandits defend the law in its current state, arguing that it is the culture of election impunity that needs to change for a level playing field. During the State of the Nation address in June, Museveni complained against political corruption by MPs and others seeking political office, with him being the exception and likening himself to traditional kings who give whenever and to whomever. Jackson Onyango, NTV.